That's it. One more day, and we're here. We're here. It's Christmas time tomorrow. It is Christmas time, and the Eagles, we are opening up 2 gifts in the first round tomorrow night. Okay. I can't wait. I'm excited. There are interviews. There are rumors today. There are a bunch of stuff going on today. Like I said, take everything with a grain of salt. But John Clark had some pretty good interviews today and a lot of other rumors going on. So pretty pumped, pretty much ready to go. And let's get straight into this last draft, or at least this last video before the draft. I'm excited. Let's get into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope it's having a fantastic day. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. I know it is hard to keep the excitement in with this draft being tomorrow, and I really have to go over some of the news for really the last day before the draft till we really find out what's going on. We've heard a lot from Tony Pauline the past couple years. Now, it seems like Tony Pauline has a lot of insight on the Philadelphia Eagles. He was right on the Cam Jurgens interest that the Eagles had last year, and they ended up picking him in the second round. Now, Tony Pauline is confirming from multiple sources that the Eagles are settling the groundwork for a potential trade-up, and it's for a defensive lineman, for a pass rusher, okay, whether it's going to be Will Anderson or Jalen Carter. Okay, we'll see what happens here with this, but we kind of already know that I think they have interest in pass rusher a lot with that 10th overall pick, but obviously for the best ones, you're going to have to trade up. We'll get into some of this news in a little bit on Jalen Carter and some things that we did hear from him as well, but we'll go into all of that too. So Tony Pauline's been pretty good. Seems like he has known a lot of background Eagles talk, what's going on with rumors. So definitely something to keep your mind, keep your focus on right now. Now, Bijan Robinson had his interview with John Clark. Now, interesting enough, the other day that I totally missed, Bijan was asked by Dan Orlovsky on NFL Network, what's the one quarterback that you would play with? And Bijan was like, Jalen Hurts. And he even talked about Jalen Hurts in this interview. He said Jalen Hurts' name, guys. I mean, it's crazy. Talked to John Clark and talked to, Jalen Hurts and, just what he's done, and the respect that he's gotten and what Bijan would look like in this offense. He said, I would look great. I think that there's, you're set at every position in that offense. I think adding me to it. And then John Clark asked about the pitch that Howie Roseman wanted to give, Bijan Robinson on, why should we draft you at 10? And Bijan was like, I'm a difference maker. I'm an impact player. I'm not just a running back, things like that. So really nothing much from this interview, but at least from yesterday, he said Jalen Hurts' name. And then today, obviously, talked about how good he would look in that offense and the interest level that the Eagles do have. And it's fantastic. It's great. Very excited for it. And, shout out to Joe Castro as well, our own, Philly, the podcast, great YouTuber, covers the Philadelphia Eagles and had one of our draft hats. Took a picture with Bijan Robinson, and I'll have his link for his channel description below. We might actually have him on the Philly Shakedown this weekend for more draft news during the draft and stuff like that. So I appreciate Joe for doing this, and obviously, that's awesome. That is really cool. Joe's been striving to, is covering the draft this year. Is doing, is going to cover all the players, and is going to meet with some of the guys, and hopefully get some pictures taken and stuff. So very happy for him. Had one of our draft hats, which was great, and took a picture with it, which was awesome. So Bijan Robinson's wearing a Kobe Bryant shirt. Oh my God. All right, I gotta stop. I gotta stop because I'm just gonna get crazy. He's wearing a Kobe Bryant shirt. Kobe Bryant's an Eagles fan. Remember that? No. I know. I gotta stop. I gotta stop sometimes. It gets kind of crazy. But yeah, I want to appreciate Joe for all that. He put that on Twitter today, and shout out to him. I'll have his link for his channel description below if you guys want to subscribe to him and all his great content. Secondly, I want to go over Jalen Carter. Now, he had his interview with John Clark as well. Now, John Clark asked, well, if you're available, do you think the Eagles are willing to go up and draft you? How much interest do they have? He said, yes, I definitely believe that they have a lot of interest. So Carter thinks the Eagles have a lot of interest, which they definitely do. We already knew this. We know this. Okay. Now, Seattle put out a tweet, or Seattle, there's rumors about Seattle Seahawks that they're not taking, they actually, when it came out and said, we're not taking Jalen Carter at 5, okay? I can't believe that. I mean, why would a team, it's stupid why teams would obviously believe that, why Jalen Carter would be, why the Seattle Seahawks would say, we're not going to grab him. It's going to be a bunch of lies at the end of the day. So, I don't have them. I don't have him getting by Seattle. If he does get by Seattle at 5, I think the Eagles have a huge chance to get him. I think, obviously, they have Jalen Carter above Bijan Robinson on their board. Maybe. I think so. This is the second best player in the draft. Obviously, you have to take Jalen Carter because you're not. Realistically, if Will Anderson drops past 5, I'll be shocked, and they should probably take him, but probably not going to happen. So most likely, if Jalen Carter goes past 5, you go grab him. Jalen Carter talked about Jordan Davis, how much of a mentor he was for him. Actually, he's the one that actually brought him to Georgia, really got him to get to that school, and talked about Nakobe Dean and how much of a leader he is on the field. And it was really nice to hear some things, because we really don't hear this extra interview talk. He talked about, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, how great it would be to play with those two guys, and it'd be a dream come true. And, I think the Eagles really like getting players that know each other as well, because I think, when it comes to a standpoint of, just how close they could get and how good of matchup it would be for both of them to play in the NFL together is a great thing. Chemistry is probably a huge thing. The Eagles like getting guys that have chemistry. You have A.J. Brown and A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, are either friends with Jalen Hurts or played with Jalen Hurts. You know what I mean? Things like they like getting guys like that, and I think they have a lot of interest in something like this. Going forward. So it's pretty cool. So, the Jalen Carter stuff is great. I think realistically, yes, they have a lot of interest. If he passes 5, Seattle at 5, I think, there's a good chance they move up. I think they still want to move up for either Bijan or Jalen Carter. I feel like they still move in front of 8, in front of the Atlanta Falcons, just in case to go grab Bijan. And you're obviously waiting, you got to get him at 6 or 7. At the end of the day, you got to get him at 6 or 7. I don't know, but hopefully they figure it out and they get this thing going. They get this thing done, and they draft Jalen Carter and no Bijan. I'd be very 100,000,000% happy. Obviously every Eagles fan is not going to be happy with Bijan. They're not going to be happy with Jalen Carter. They're not going to be. It's just that's just what it is. You know what I mean? It's just it's what's to your taste, what's to your liking. At the end of the day. So that's the way it goes. And that was the stuff on Jalen Carter today. So now he was asked about why are you taking, did you not take, John Clark said this. He said, did you not take visits out of the top 10 because the Eagles had so much, Eagles and other teams, specifically the Eagles said they would draft you at 10. He said, yes, heard that. Yes, they definitely have interest. So the Eagles, with the promise probably from not just the Eagles, but probably a few teams, okay, that probably are like, we're going to draft you. If you come to us, we're drafting you. We promise we're going to get you. But this is a question at 10, and then asked Jalen Carter, well, what if do you think the Eagles will move up for you and go get you? He said, I don't know. We're going to see what happens. I would hope so, so I feel like there is a lot of interest in Jalen Carter. I feel like the Eagles really like him a lot. Okay. Just by the way, Jalen Carter was answering some of these questions, kind of got me a little, I think there's a lot of interest here. I think we already kind of knew that, but I think there might be more interest for Jalen Carter than Bijan Robinson. Maybe. I don't know. But depends if Jalen Carter lasts. We'll see what happens here. But it's, a couple teams I do question in him. It depends what the Eagles have to give up to move up a few picks, which a few slots really won't be that bad for him. So, we'll see on some of the Jalen Carter stuff going forward. But, it's very promising right now that Jalen Carter could be a Philadelphia Eagle. If they get him to pair up with Jordan Davis, it is going to be dangerous. Very, very, very dangerous. Lastly, Paris Johnson. Okay, Paris Johnson has an interview with John Clark as well. Talked about Jeff. Obviously, Paris Johnson's a big fan of Jeff Stout and what he did with, obviously, Jordan Mailata and John Clark's like, this is one of the best, offensive coaches. And Paris Johnson talked about, his talks with Jeff Stout and technique and just all the little details of being an offensive lineman, just the technique and all that type of stuff. But likes the team. He thinks the offensive line is great. And, obviously the Paris Johnson stuff, I know we talk about this a lot with Skoronski and Paris Johnson, Osiris Torrance. Like, if they drafted Paris Johnson at 10 or even moved back a couple spots for Paris Johnson, he's probably going to start at guard, okay? Paris Johnson would start at guard until Juergens moves to center, and then they would kick Paris Johnson over to right tackle, okay? They'd move Paris Johnson to right tackle once Lane Johnson, because I think Paris Johnson would be a right tackle for the future most likely. If they drafted Skoronski, they would kick him in the guard right now. Osiris Torrance, he'd go in the guard right now. If it was DeJuan Jones, they could get him later on, move down for him. I don't know. The tackle from Georgia. I mean, there's a whole bunch of guys they could get. Do they overreach for an offensive lineman at 10, or did they trade back? I mean, for Paris Johnson, I think you could trade back and still be safe. Skoronski, I think Skoronski might, I don't know. As a tackle, he's not going to last in the league, but they might, obviously teams are going to kick him in the guard. So I don't know what they're going to do here. I mean, look, Paris Johnson, with that, if they pick Paris Johnson at 10, would I be mad? A little bit, but I wouldn't be upset because I know this is the Eagles have no depth. The Eagles, if they draft an offensive lineman, if they draft a guard at 10 or a guard or a guy that they're going to kick in the guard right now, and Cam Juergens is not going to start at guard and he's going to redshirt for his second year, then it means that they want a starter at guard. So I can't really complain that they want a starter. Maybe, we don't know if the Eagles have full truth and maybe they don't have as much, maybe they're not satisfied in Cam Juergens as much as we think they are. You never know here. They might say, Cam, we're going to let you do red zone and do your thing this year. You're going to sit out, you're not going to play offense this year besides red zone, blah, blah, blah. But, when Kelsey retires next year, you'll have 2 years to prove to us that you could be a good player, blah, blah, blah. So I feel like that could happen as well. So I don't take offensive line off the table. There's no doubt about it. I still think the Eagles are drafting 2 offensive players with the first 3 picks. I think the second round pick could be potentially an offensive lineman. Who knows at this point? These guys trickling down the draft. Paris Johnson could move down a little bit further than expected. You know what I mean? So, are we going to spend a first-round pick on an offensive lineman? We'll see. I mean, at 10, I just think it's a little too over the top. But at the same time, I would know why they're doing it. But you have such a good offensive line coach, you really don't need to overreach for an offensive lineman. You have the best offensive line mind in all of football right now. And has done a fantastic job with Jordan Mailata being a 7th-round pick. You know what I mean? You don't need to overreach for a guy. I think somebody's going to drop, and the Eagles are going to get good value out of a player that probably should have been drafted higher. You never know. That usually happens a lot. But yeah, it should be really interesting. So, other than that, that's pretty much it. We talked about, obviously, Tony Pauline's news on the big trade up, and he's been pretty good with the Eagles news the past couple seasons. Bijan Robinson talked about that. Paris Johnson talked about that. Jalen Carter, obviously very interesting here. Seems like the Eagles have a lot of interest. The way he answered these questions today from an Eagles perspective of what it's kind of crazy. So honestly, I think it's going to come down to Jalen Carter, Bijan Robinson, and that top 10 pick. I think they're going to move up regardless because I think they have to move up for either one of those players regardless of the situation that they're in. So let me know what you guys think about the interviews that happened. What can you take out of all these interviews? Do you think the Eagles have more interest in Jalen Carter or Bijan Robinson? Do you think they're going to still move up regardless for both? Or do you think they'll stay at 10, get an offensive lineman, Paris Johnson or somebody out there? Do you think Cam Juergens is going to start at guard, right guard this year? So let me know in the comment section below. If you guys lasted this long, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you're new, definitely we're going to be streaming the whole entire draft this weekend. Cannot wait. And then obviously tomorrow is a big day. So it is Christmas time for the Philadelphia Eagles. Make sure you like this video as well. And we'll get back to you with more Eagles news. Hope you guys come and hang out at the draft tomorrow. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace out, guys. Peace.